Hello everyone, welcome to Himalaya online classes. In this video, we are going to start science and technology. Okay. Again, go through the syllabus. Okay. So we are going to start today space technology. Okay. So in space technology, so what and all we need to study? We need to study different types of orbits, then different types of launch vehicles, then types of satellites, then what are their applications, space missions of ISRO, and what are the other important missions of other space agencies, and miscellaneous concepts. So here in miscellaneous concepts, we will try to cover even the current affairs, okay, related to science and technology. And we also try to study these topics by analyzing the previous year question paper questions also, okay. First, we shall try to understand, okay, how does a satellite stay in its orbit, okay, in a particular orbit. So imagine if you throw an apple to the atmosphere, okay, will that apple stay in the atmosphere? No, right? It falls off. Why? We all know that because of gravitational pull of the earth, okay, it won't let that apple stay in the atmosphere. Okay, so say imagine we will throw that apple in such a speed that it escapes this gravitational pull. Then what happens? This apple goes and escapes into the space. Okay, so we do not want both the scenarios. We do not want, you know, falling off the apple, or we do not want the apple to be escaped to the space. So what we want is, we want apple to stay in a particular place and it keeps on moving around this particular planetary body. Okay, so what are we supposed to do? So we need to keep in mind two forces here. Okay, one is we need to maintain the speed of that apple in such a you know value that that value cancels with the force of the gravitational pull from this point. Means the speed of the object, okay, should cancel with the force of the gravitational pull from this point. Okay, then only we can make that apple stay in a particular orbit. Okay, because this will act as a balance force, or they will cancel out each other. The speed at which this apple is maintaining, and the force at which the earth is trying to pull this apple towards it. Okay, both should cancel out each other, then only it can stay in this particular orbit. Okay, then we can place here not just one apple, we can place number of apples here. Okay, means if we try to replace this apple with the satellites in the same orbits, in the same orbit we can place n number of satellites. Okay, so because these satellites will maintain its own speed, its own momentum. Okay, and they will never cancel out each other. Okay, and this speed should be, say, this speed, okay, the speed at which it is moving, and the gravitational pull will cancel out each other, and it will enable it to stay in that particular orbit. Okay, so here because this orbit, okay, this orbit is near to the surface of the earth, means here high gravitational pull will be there. Means to cancel out that high gravitational pull, the speed of this object or the speed of this satellite must be high. Okay, so compared to the, suppose if I wanted to place a satellite here, and it should also maintain some speed to cancel out the gravitational pull. Okay, so here the comparatively this speed to this speed, here the speed will be comparatively less, because less gravitational pull here. Okay, and comparatively if I try to place the satellite here, the speed at which it maintains will be less to the gravitational pull, because the low gravitational pull compared to this gravitational pull. Got it? No? Okay, so that is how we try to place the satellite in particular orbit. Okay, so here two things are important. One is satellite velocity, okay, the speed it is traveling in a straight line. Then the force of the earth's gravitational pull, the force of the earth's gravitational pull, and these two forces has to cancel out each other. Okay, remember, okay, so it is neither the movement of this will not depend upon the mass of the satellite or the weight or size of the satellite. Okay, then we will try to see what are the different types of orbits. Okay, what are the different types of orbits? So here comes based upon the altitude where it is, then based upon the speed the satellite has to maintain, and based upon the orbital period. Okay, so what is this orbital period? We will try to analyze here the speed, okay, to stay in that low earth orbit. So that particular satellite has to maintain a speed of 8 kilometer per second. Okay, if it travels at this speed, then it will try to complete this particular orbit, it will try to complete one revolution in 90 minutes. So that is the meaning here. Okay, so what is the altitude? Altitude is 160 to 2000 kilometer from the earth's surface. So immediately after escaping the earth's atmosphere, this starts 160 to 2000 kilometer from the surface of the earth. Okay, and this 8 kilometer per second, and the satellite will complete in 90 minutes. Okay, and for what we use low earth orbits? Okay, do we place anything in low earth orbit? Means yes, we would have heard of International Space Station. Yes, that is placed in low earth orbit. Okay, as well as Hubble Space Telescope, which was which helped us in discovering many planets. Okay, that is also placed in low earth orbit. Okay, and low earth orbit, it gives a clear, because it will be near to the earth, and it is able to observe earth, okay, properly. Fine. Then coming to the medium earth orbit. Medium earth orbit means here the altitude varies, that is from 2000 kilometer from the earth's surface to 35,786 kilometer. So this value is very important. Okay, 2000 kilometer to 35,786 kilometer, okay, from the earth's surface. Then what should be the speed of the satellite? It should be from 8 kilometer per second to 3 kilometer per second. So if it is moving at this speed, then it can cancel out the gravitational pull of the earth or of that particular planet, whatever it could be, of that particular space object. Then coming to this orbital period is 2 hours to 24 hours. Okay, 2 hours to 24 hours. So it will cover. Then what did we place in medium earth orbit? Means GPS, okay, global positioning satellites, USA's navigation satellites are placed in this medium earth orbit. Okay, this is the medium earth orbit and at this altitude. And next one is high earth orbit. Okay, high earth orbit. Uh, High earth orbit. So here in high earth orbit we have geostationary orbit, okay, geostationary orbit as well as geosynchronous orbit, geostationary orbit as well as geosynchronous orbit. So what is the difference, geostationary and geosynchronous orbit? First of all, we need to know where it is placed. This number is very, very important. Okay, 35,786 kilometers above the surface of the earth. Okay, if you try to remember, it is very good. Otherwise, on an average, it is 36,000 kilometer above the surface of the earth. Okay, what should be the speed of the satellite? It should be 3 kilometers per second. And orbital period, by what time it will complete one revolution around the earth? It will be 24 hours. Okay, it will complete in 24 hours. Fine. So we know that 24 hours is the time taken by our earth to complete its rotation. Okay, so the speed at which the earth completes one rotation and the speed at which this particular satellite placed here, okay, completing one revolution. Okay, earth's rotation 24 hours and this satellite completing one revolution 24 hours. Okay, so that is why this satellite will be always in synchronized with the Earth's movement. Okay, so that is why it is called as geosynchronous orbit, because it is in synchronous with the Earth's movement. Geosynchronous orbit. Okay, so geostationary orbit, if we take, same features are there. A 35,786 kilometer from the surface of the Earth. Okay, this distance. Then speed also, the speed at which it has to maintain is 3 kilometer per second, and orbital period is also 24 hours. Then what is the difference? Means here the difference is geosynchronous orbit makes an inclination from the geostationary orbit, or from the equator, we can say. Okay, so this is exactly above the equator. Okay, which one? Geostationary orbit is exactly above the equator at the distance 35,786 kilometer. However, even this is also sorry, this one. Okay, however, even geosynchronous orbit is also 35,786 kilometer, but it makes an angle to this, or angle or inclination to this geostationary orbit or to the equator. Okay, so only that is the difference. So from here we can come to know that geostationary orbit is a special case of geosynchronous orbit. Geostationary orbit, special case of geosynchronous orbit. So why stationary? Means it always appears to be stationed in this point. It appears to be like that. Okay, so that is why that is why they are called geostationary orbit and geosynchronous orbit. Okay, so this is very, very important. Please try to clearly understand this. What is the difference between geostationary and geosynchronous orbit? They are in synchronous with the Earth's movement. Okay, and the next one is, this is also an important concept, geosynchronous transfer orbit. So geosynchronous transfer orbit. So why do we need this geosynchronous transfer orbit? Okay, suppose if a satellite wants to be moved from this particular orbit to this particular orbit. Okay, so we can't directly move this satellite in this manner. Okay, in a straight manner we cannot move. So what we need to take is this circular orbit. From this circular orbit we need to take an elliptical path. Okay, this elliptically trajectory path is there. No, this is called as geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay, so this gives the momentum for the satellite to move and to be placed in this particular orbit. Okay, so that is why it is called as geosynchronous transfer orbit. What are we transferring here? We are transferring the satellite from this low level low altitude orbit to this high altitude orbit, and especially it is to the geosynchronous orbit. Okay, geosynchronous orbit at the altitude of 35,786 kilometer from the surface of the Earth. Okay, so but it need not be this geosynchronous orbit only, because here we can see when we try to place, okay, when we try to place Mars orbiter mission. So even at that time, okay, we had to we had to take this trajectory path. Okay, trajectory path, and we had to take it to the orbit of the Mars. Okay, orbit of the Mars, and then we had to place it there. For that also we had to take this elliptical path. Okay, that also comes under this geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay, very important, this one. Then coming to the next one is polar orbit. Okay, polar orbit. Here polar orbit, if you take, see, as the name itself says, it goes from one pole to another pole, from north pole to south pole. Okay, however variations is also allowed. Okay, it need not be always cross north pole and south pole. The variations, okay, the inclination, okay, inclination is also allowed. So at what height it maintains? It maintains the height that is 2,200 to 2,000 kilometer from the surface of the Earth. Okay, means it is just almost same height of low Earth orbit. Okay, so if we place a satellite at this altitude, so we can easily observe the Earth. Okay, we can clearly observe the earth. So that is why the applications also will be in the same manner. That is, for earth observation, we will place a satellite for the earth observing, and for weather forecasting, mapping, for all that purpose we place the satellites in this polar orbit. Okay, because it will be at the low altitude, and as well as we can clearly view the earth from point to point. Okay, then coming to here, sun synchronous orbit. Sun synchronous orbit. Sun synchronous orbit is a special case of polar orbit. Okay, special case of polar orbit, where here the name we need to know, that is sun synchronous. There we had seen geosynchronous orbit. Okay, geosynchronous means it is in synchronous with the Earth's movement. Here this satellite will be in synchronous with the apparent movement of the sun. Fine. Apparent movement of the sun means, why it will be in the apparent movement of the sun means, because it needs constant sunlight. Okay, it needs constant sunlight, and this will be especially the satellite, wherever whatever we place in sun synchronous, it will be used for imaging, spy, weather satellites, all that. Okay, so one special thing about this satellite is, this satellite appears to be at the same place at same time. Okay, every day. Okay, if it is in the same place in the previous day, and next day, or next day also it will be in this same place. Okay, so it will follow the sun's apparent movement. Okay, so polar orbits and sun synchronous orbit. So hope this is clear. Okay, so next, moving on to the next topic, that is that was about the orbits. Okay, so we saw low earth orbit, medium earth orbit, high earth orbit. In high earth orbit, there were geosynchronous orbit, and its special case is geostationary orbit. Okay, and from pole to pole, that is polar orbit and sun synchronous polar orbit. Okay, then coming to this, types of rocket engines. Types of rocket engines. Suppose if you wanted to take the satellite from Earth to that particular orbit. Okay, then we need a equipment for that, right? So that is this launch vehicle. Okay, this is the launch vehicle in which it will have the engine. Okay, so here comes we need to know what are the parts of it. Okay, what are the parts of it? So here comes the payload. Okay, here comes the payload. So what and all payload means, here we place satellite. Okay, here we place satellites, or we place warheads. Okay, nuclear warheads or conventional warheads, or we can place astronauts. Okay, we can place astronauts here. Okay, here what it know in the payload. And here fuel, what fuel we are going to use? We use liquid hydrogen. We use liquid hydrogen. Okay, liquid hydrogen is used for combustion purpose. Okay, so for combustion purpose we need oxygen. Yes, liquid hydrogen and oxygen, they are sent through these pumps and valves to the combustion chamber. Okay, where in combustion chamber the fuel is burnt. Okay, so this burning of the fuel will exhaust fire and gases, and this exhaust will create the thrust for the for this launch vehicle to move up. Okay, so this is the exactly Newton's third law, where this action creates this opposite reaction. Okay, so in this we have based upon how we use this fuel, okay, for burning. So what arrangements we do, based upon that we can classify into solid engine, liquid engine, and cryogenic engine. Okay, or we can call it as solid propellant or solid stage, liquid propellant, liquid stage, or cryogenic propellant, cryogenic stage. So we can classify in that manner. Fine. So what happens in the solid propellant? So here in this diagram, it is given two separate, components for fuel and oxygen. However, in solid propellant, both fuel and oxygen will be mixed up. Okay, it will be mixed up initially itself. Then combined one will be given in the combustion chamber, where both will get burned off, and the rocket will move up. Okay, here. So what is the disadvantage? There is a disadvantage in this solid propellant, because here already mixed up, okay, fuel and oxygen are already mixed up. Then you cannot control the burning. Okay, you cannot control the burning, you cannot increase the temperature. So how much ever prefixed it is, so that much burning activity will happen here. Okay, so that is one disadvantage. However, solid propellant is the one which we use in the first stage of the launch vehicle. Okay, because everything is like pre-designed. Okay, if you want that pre temperature to be maintained, then we can use that solid stage. Right. Next, coming to the liquid propellants. Liquid propellants. Okay, in liquid propellant, what happens here? Fuel is kept in the separate tank, and oxygen is kept in the separate tank. Okay, and fuel and oxygen are supplied individually. They are combined in this combustion chamber. Okay, then it will be as per our needs. Okay, how much amount we need, how much temperature we need, so based upon that combustion happens. Okay, so if you wanted to if the launching vehicle had attained particular velocity, then we can even stop this burning. Okay, like that. Means we can control this combustion. Got it, no? Okay, that is how the liquid propellants work. Okay, and the next one is cryogenic engine. Cryogenic technology. Here in cryogenic technology, what happens is, so we maintain separate tanks for fuel as well as oxygen, but we take it in a liquid form. Both fuel as well as both oxygen also will take it in the liquid form. Okay, so if you want to liquefy this oxygen, then we need very low temperature. So that is the meaning of cryogenic. Cryogenic means very low temperature, involves the use of low temperature, extremely low temperature. Here the low temperature will be for oxygen minus 183 degree Celsius. Okay, minus 183 degree Celsius, and for the hydrogen it is minus 253 degree Celsius. Okay, so this is the temperature we need to maintain if we wanted to keep this oxygen and hydrogen at this in the liquid form. Okay, so why we do this means, because it gives highest efficiency of this fuel for the combustion, and efficiency of this engine. Okay, for that we use this cryogenic technology. Okay, and here one thing is that UPSC kept on asking questions on this cryogenic technology, because ISRO had developed this technology indigenously. Okay, very few countries have this technology. For example, US, Japan, France, China, Russia, apart from India, have this technology. Okay, why? What is the use of this cryogenic engine? One thing is it requires less space, and next one is low weight, and it gives high thrust and high efficient. That is why we go for cryogenic technology. Okay, cryogenic engine. So do we use cryogenic engine now? Means yes, we use it in GSLV Mark II and Mark III launch vehicles. So that GSLV you want to understand in further slides. Okay, then moving on to, okay, just go through this. Solid fuel engine, once fired, continue to be in the operation till their fuel burns off. Can't control its velocity or direction, right? So we can control that. However, liquid fuel engine, where it is kept in separately. Okay, so can be shut off once spacecraft achieves desired velocity, can restart the engine several times if required. Okay, it makes possible to change satellites orbit with precision. Then what is this cryogenic engine? Generally, we use hydrogen as a fuel and liquid oxygen as an oxidizer to store at very low temperature. We need to store at very low temperature. It develops thrust needed in the final stage of the rocket to put the satellites into geosynchronous orbit. Okay. And just go through this launch vehicles. So we have launch vehicles. One is SLV, satellite launch vehicle, then ASLV, augmented satellite launch vehicle, then PSLV, then GSLV Mark 1 and Mark 2, and GSLV Mark 3. Okay. GSLV Mark III. So here are some features of it where we are going to see. Okay, so SLV3. See, this is the we can say SLV was the first experimental launch vehicle. Okay, it was the India's first experimental launch vehicle. So in this we had 4 stages, and all 4 stages were solid. Okay, so because that was an initial technology what we had, solid propellant. So all the 4 stages it used solid propellants. Okay, and we used SLV to place Rohini satellite. Okay, when it was placed in 1980, where to the low Earth orbit. See, payload means the satellite weight it could carry was just 40 kg, and that to the low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit means like below 2000 kilometer from the surface of the Earth. Okay, then coming to the augmented satellite launch vehicle. So this was like augmented in the sense it was just improvement in the technology, augmenting technology. They wanted to check, excuse me. Okay, so it could take it could take a load that is 150 kg to the low Earth orbit itself. Okay, so it was a proof of low cost. Okay, in low cost how it can take the satellites. And they wanted to test some technologies here, like they wanted to add strap-on boosters. Here you can see strap-on boosters. Strap-on boosters are this one in the first stage, where it will be used for creating the thrust. Okay, strap-on boosters where attached, and they were tested. And loop guidance. So what is this loop guidance? Means to give specific direction to the launch vehicle, so which direction it has to follow. So such technologies were tested in this augmented satellite launching vehicle. Okay, then next improved version was PSLV. Okay, PSLV was 4-stage vehicle. Okay, 4 stage. So first one will be solid stage, where you can see the number of strap-on boosters are there. So solid, already fuel is mixed. Then this will give the thrust. Then it will be the liquid stage. Second stage will be the liquid stage. So here the engine what we use is called Vikas engine. Okay, so this was developed by Liquid Propulsion System Center. Okay, then the third stage will be again solid engine, and the fourth stage will be liquid engine. So what is important here is we need to know is, so here see the payload. Okay, how many kgs it can carry. 1600 kgs, around that. Okay, we need to have a rough picture. Don't try to buy it, we need to have a rough picture of it. Okay, 1600 kg into where? Into geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay, so PSLV we have this is the most we can say used launching vehicle. Okay, so we could see, like whenever each and every satellite is launched, one new version will be there, 26, 27, 28, up to 50. Okay, and we have variants also. PSLV general. Okay, PSLV general is there, PSLV XL is there, PSLV core alone is there. For example, PSLV XL was used to launch Mars orbiter mission in 2013. Okay, and Chandrayaan 1 was also launched using PSLV launch vehicle, and as well as IRNSS, our navigational satellite, was also launched using PSLV satellites. So here you can understand PSLV satellites is used to launch not only satellites to our geosynchronous transfer orbit, but also to orbit of the MOM. Okay, Mars. Okay, for various purposes this PSLV was used. Okay. Then there was one record also what PSLV had done in 2017. PSLV carried at a time 104 foreign satellites to the polar orbit. Okay, so that was a record because previously Russia had carried so many multiple satellites, but its number was just 40. but how many we carried? We carried 104 satellites at a time in 2017. Okay, that is about the PSLV. Then coming to the GSLV Mark 1 and Mark 2. GSLV Mark 1, we don't use that. GSLV Mark 2. Okay, GSLV Mark 2, you just see the payload capacity 2 to 2.5 ton to geosynchronous transfer orbit. Okay, GSLV Mark 2 and GSLV Mark 3. Okay, GSLV Mark 3. So what is this payload capacity? 4 ton. Okay, and how many stages? Both these are 3 stages. Okay, first stage will be solid. Okay, with the strap-on booster. Here solid. In GSLV Mark 3 we have 2 strap-on boosters. Okay, then we will be having a liquid stage. Then third one will be the cryogenic stage. Very important. Here in the third stage we are using cryogenic stage. Okay, cryogenic engine. So here also in the third stage cryogenic engine, both are 3 stages. Okay, remember PSLV 4 stages, solid, liquid, solid, liquid. However, GSLV 3 stages, solid, liquid and cryogenic. Okay, so GSLV Mark 3. So GSLV Mark 3 had launched GSAT 19 mission. Okay, and this GSLV Mark 3 we are going to use it for launching the Gaganyaan mission, where this mission will carry crew members, right? Human beings to the space. Okay, human beings to the space. Then what is it? Minimum 5 to 7 days. Okay. Just go through this. Okay, difference between, what is the difference between PSLV and GSLV? Okay, it was first launched in 1993. GSLV was launched in 2001. Then for launching this we have already seen. Okay, try to have a fair idea about particular one value. Okay, don't try to confuse. There we had seen, right, 4 ton it can carry up to that low Earth orbit. Then for launching Indian remote sensing satellites, so we will see what are these Indian remote sensing satellites and other types of satellites. So usually GSLV will be used to launch this Indian national satellites. Okay, and this one used for Chandrayaan Mars mission that we have discussed. Then next version will be Mark 3. Yes, then this is 4 stage and this will be the 3 stages. Okay, so hope you understood this launch vehicle. Okay, here in launch vehicle what we need to understand is first thing is how many stages it is. Okay, so try to have PSLV and the GSLV Mark 2 Mark 3, try to have fair idea about how much capacity each vehicle can carry. Okay. And what is this cryogenic technology? Okay, then there is a scramjet engine also. The scramjet engine we will discuss in the future classes. Okay, so hope you understood this class. Do's and don'ts, you follow this. Thank you for listening.